Hey boys, girls of YouTube world. Today the Duff Dog and I are going to see if we can't get this 1949 Ford F1 pickup back on the road. That's right, I've had this thing for, I don't know, 5-6 years. I got it from the Bib Bandit on trade. I had another 48 to 50 Ford pickup that had like a TCI front end Mustang 2, and then the rear end was a 4-lane coilover. He wanted all that. This thing was running and driving with a 351 Cleveland C6 9-inch Volare front end, super sketchy wiring. We'll show you some of the sketchiness that's left. So anyway, I got that thing running because it wasn't running and driving when I got it. It didn't run that well. It would hardly get on its own way. It was a 73 model Cleveland, so not the good ones. But yeah, I got rid of the Volare front subframe because it was terribly installed. And we got a Dodge Dakota front end there, which is basically like a beefed up version of a Mustang 2. And I really like them because you can get parts from basically off the shelf. You just get everything from a 92 Dodge Dakota. You get power steering hoses, you get a new rack, you get ball joints, brakes, whatever you want. You buy a Mustang 2 kit, what are those rollers calipers off of? You don't know. And they got whatever redesigned control arms, so if you need bushings or ball joints, what are you getting? At least this is all factory Mopar stuff you can get off the shelf, and it's designed for pickup, where you get a Mustang 2. That's what they're designed for, is Pintos and Mustang 2s, cars that were 1,500 pounds lighter than this. So, also while I did that, I stuck a 5.3 out of a 2003 Chevy pickup in there. It's got about 157,000 miles on it, I remember. And I took a 4L80, that was a 4-wheel drive pickup, had that rebuilt by Corey down an automatic transmission here in Watertown, and converted it to 2-wheel drive, so it's all brand new. Made a drive shaft for it, got the steering hooked up, bought an aftermarket column, just a cheap Speedway, whatever, Chinesium one. We got that in there, and it sat for the last 3 years. I was just looking at the Rock Auto boxes for these orders because I got to convert the fronts are a tiny little 6-lug Dodge Dakota pattern, so like a 96 Dakota. I think I got everything from a 92 Dakota, and that's 4.5-inch bolt pattern, which is the same as the Volare had, or Ford cars, Mopars, stuff like that. Because there just isn't much for wheel selection for these tiny 6-holes. The rear is out of, I believe, like a 57 to 72 Ford pickup, so it's got the 5-on 5.5 bolt pattern. It's got 235/70s on the back. The fronts are just some standard Dodge Dakota mismatch oddball stuff. I did put a below the floor disc brake, power booster, master cylinder thing, so we'll take a look at that. So I think that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna convert this thing 5-lug in the front, because I got all the parts sitting there to do it. I got new calipers, new hoses. We're gonna run brake lines for all that stuff, because we never got brakes in it. We're gonna finish up the steering. I think I gotta do a steering mount, double check everything. I think we gotta maybe do some spot welding or tack welding or drill some pilot holes. I don't really remember. And then maybe do some wiring on the LS. I got a Speedway wiring kit. I got a column shift tilt column, so we got the shift linkage. Hopefully we'll hook that up to the 4L80E. I don't have a radiator. They didn't make an LS swap radiator for these things when I did it, but of course 3 years later, good thing I waited. Now they make Chinese ones, radiators for less on the eBay, so I just ordered one, like 345 bucks. Probably not gonna be here by the end of the week. And we're gonna have to figure out radiator hoses, which, you know, we're in Podunk, so we're gonna have to use what I got until we get to the big city and find some radiator hoses. We can use the flexi hoses. The nice thing about that radiator hose is it's got the steam hole if you're doing an LS swap. I know you can be like, rent up at half-ass, you could modify the top tank for a steam port, but this has already got it in it. Yeah, I don't know. Let's take a look at this. So like I said, this is a 49, 48 to 50s all have the horizontal bars. 51 and 2 are like the Forrest Gump truck that looks like they want to bite little girls. They got like the 3 vertical bars. This thing's had a lot of body work done to it. I think there's supposed to be a seam right here. Yeah, you can see it. Side glass is cracked, so I don't know if when they converted it to a one-piece window, took out the wing window if they didn't put enough insulation in there, or people were slamming it or what. That's the thing. What really bothers me, people got to open doors on other people's stuff. The Bib Bandit who I got this from, notorious for it. He's got to dig through glove boxes, he's got to open trunks, he's got to open hoods, he's got to open every freaking door of every vehicle you ever pick up. So another pet peeve. Don't open other people's stuff unless you ask them first. So we got to figure out what's causing that. Maybe get some side glass in it. Probably never gonna happen. You can see there's some pretty shoddy body work down here where the running boards meet up. Another spot for them to rust out. A lot of mud in there. Running boards are made out of wood. Yeah, that's right, wood. And then they kind of bed lined them. Don't worry, stuff gets shadier. So, I don't know if they make new ones or not. They're probably super expensive. We'd like to find some, hold out for some used ones. I don't have any right now, but try to find some. We could always maybe even cut some down off of a F2 or an F3, which is a longer wheelbase. But I think the back fenders are different, so maybe they meet up different. Let's do finish the outside tour, huh, Duff? Two 3575s back there. These are like a Speedway cheapy steel wheel. They're 5-on-5 or 5-on-5.5. Super cracked out Goodyear Decathlons. Those things are about ready to fail. Fenders are in pretty good shape. I noticed there was a little hooey down there, a little rust down there. They're not terrible. Stake pocket up there is correct. And this stake pocket is just a chunk of square tubing they put on there. Oh, and it's pretty much just held on by some screws right there. Speaking of being held on, the tailgate I think is welded shut, but it's also held with seatbelt latches. It's kind of a common thing to do, I guess. Not a terrible idea, but there's no hinge down there either, so it's not going to open anyway. Fuel tanks were behind the seats in these, so they moved this one to the back, which is cool. It's an all right tank, but it sits up too high, and so they had to raise the whole bed floor. And they used this, whatever, Unistrut garage door trash ugliness. What do you see, Duff? Oh, that C-notch? Yeah. We did not do that. They filled it in the gap with a, looks like a 5/16 bolt down there. Terrible welds. Oh yeah, there's no material left here. Well, let's just weld a piece of flat iron across the top. Yeah, that'll really beef it up. Some people shouldn't be allowed to touch grinders or welders or torches. What else are we gonna show them back here? There was some like cheesy trailer fender taillights, trailer something taillights. The Bib Bandit, he took those off. The wiring's still kind of back here. I think I pulled out all the wires except for that out here because it was scary. They had like everything out of the 73 Ford car that they took the engine and transmission out of. They had the gauges and everything in there. It was hideous. Whoever did the top, we need to find out who that is. The story is it came out of northern Minnesota somewhere. We got it out of northeast South Dakota, just south of us. You know, what they're on down there. That's right, meth. But whoever chopped the top did a really amazing job. Whoever did the top chop was not who's done the rest of the body work, because it's pretty good. And the reason I say that is because there's a headliner. There is not a headliner in it. Let's see if we can show you. It's got like an S10 seat in it. I don't love it, but I don't actually hate it. There's it's like the 62 Chevy pickup steering wheel, same as like a 60 Chevy Bel Air, not the nice Impala wheel. It's what I had, I just stuck it on there. The column's actually pretty decent. It's not amazing. But you can see the top chop, they actually used two cabs and how nice of a job they ground the insides, how they spliced her all together. They did a really good job of chopping this top. Like you can barely tell. I mean, how much filler they had to put in there was not much. Yep, and then even like installing the glass, did a super clean job of that. You know, they didn't just glue it in. So, like literally what I bought was the cab. I've already swapped the front end. You saw the frame is hacked up back there. I ditched the steering column, ditched the drivetrain. I bought a title and a cab. Yeah, not even the wheels. The wheels are supposed to go back to the Bib Bandit, even though they're rusty and the tires are shot. You can have them. They did hack up the dash a little bit when they put those gauges in there, and they had like some cover on here for the radio. Yeah, look at the transmission mount. They took like a clutch inspection cover and filled the gaping hole that they cut, and then put a hole for the cheesy little shifter they had in here. Not good. Not good at all, huh, Duff? Like I said, it's a 03 transmission and engine, so I believe that's drive-by-wire, so we shouldn't have to run a cable for the throttle. We could convert it. I got the computer already flashed. That's about 150 bucks. We're gonna have to run the fuel lines as well. We'll put an inline high pressure pump in it. Yeah, we got plenty of stuff to do. I think I got the power steering hoses done. I think a Dodge Dakota power steering hose hooked right up to the LS power steering pump. It worked pretty well from what I remember. Again, this was 3 years ago. I didn't even have the duffel up against then, so he's never even been inside of this thing. So let's open the hood and I'll show you what we got going on. You gonna get the hood? Oh, you're a good dog. So there it is, 5.3 out of a 2003 Chevy Silverado.
Chevy's come with a Vortec engine made out of real tornadoes.
I think this is the drive-by-wire cruise control, something like that. That's the beauty of these things is cruise control. You just put the gas pedal in there and you just run the wires to it. You don't have to get your geometry and cable length. And then cruise control is all, you just hook up a switch and activate that. You don't have to have the stuff on the firewall for it. Pretty sweet setups. Yeah, I don't know. It's just an LS. I think I use, yeah, some Speedway biscuit style engine mounts. Those are my favorite style of mounts. Doesn't matter if it's small block Ford, small block Chevy, whatever. Oh, looks like we're gonna need a starter too. I don't know what we use that for, but it's not there anymore. I must have painted the subframe when I grafted everything in there. And then we got some nice black dust on it. I didn't do an amazing job, but I didn't do a terrible job of it either. I'm sure we're gonna do some cleaning up. Punching out, Mojo?
I've lost my mojo!
You had enough fun? All right, see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Didn't have a hoist when I put it in, so we'll get a look at some of the other stuff. We got some more access than we used to. Of course, you know, I've developed myself in the last 3 years since I had this thing. So let's take what we've learned and go with it. I don't know if I had I probably had the bead roller back then. You'd see we need to make a bracket for the bottom of the steering column. We do have a collapsible, whatever, steering shaft in case you get into an accident. Insert clip of 59 Chevy. We need to put manifolds on it. I got some aftermarket manifolds that I believe I test fitted and they'll clear, hopefully, so we don't have to buy some different ones. Also, I think the brake connections for the front hoses and stuff are metric bubble flare, so we'll have to do some work there, flare some lines. I do have a tool for doing that I've probably only used once or twice. We gotta make tranny lines. Of course, we won't do that till radiators here. But yeah, we can do brake lines, fuel lines, steering, shift linkage, convert this front end to 5-lug. I think I want to get some help to pull this front clip off because there's a bunch of stuff that we need to get at and we can get that out of the way. I don't even know if the front clip's mounted. Oh, sure enough. Looks like I welded some like, I don't know, 1x2 or I don't know. We welded some type of C-channel or box tubing or something in there. So we're good to go there. So this has got a mechanical fan. I think 05 was the first year of electric fans. I like a mechanical fan. They just work. They pull the right amount of air when you need the right amount of air, where those electric fans seems like they don't kick on until it's too late. You're idling through the car show and they're making a whole bunch of noise, so on and so forth. Mechanical fans, the way to go for me, especially clutch fans like this. And then it's all off-the-shelf stuff. I mean, GM designed it, so you know it's got to work. Like, I know they designed the 05 electric fans, but I guarantee you're not going to fit 05 Chevy Silverado electric fans on this thing because they're way wider. And then like electric fuel pumps, I don't like those either. These inline ones, I usually put them somewhere where they're easy to get at and plan on, you know, having a spare behind the seat, but then that spare gets used somewhere else. Ideally, I would, you know, make my own tank for this, seeing how they don't make a tank, and then drop in a stock GM electric pump inside of the tank. And that way, if your pump ever fails, which, you know, they do, but one in the tank seem to fail less than ones on the frame rail, and you don't ever hear them, then you can just go get one on the shelf at your local AutoZone, O'Reilly's, heaven forbid, Napa. Enough rambling, let's get this thing up in the air. Like I said, I want to get brakes on it because I'm sick of, you know, pulling it around the yard, you know, with this nice sheet metal. You don't want to push or pull with the old skid steer over here. So you're hooking a chain, and then you want a long chain, so if they get rolling too fast, you can get out of the way with the skid steer, and so on and so forth. Let's just make it so the person inside can slow themselves down. And then if we get a shifter hooked up, then we can leave it sit on a hill without reaching through the floor and having to shift it in neutral. Let's get this thing running and driving. Like I said, I've had this thing for like 5-6 years, and probably even longer than that. Probably 7 or 8, definitely 7. I want to drive this thing. This thing's super cool at the chop top. It's got an LS 9-inch Dodge Dakota front end. This thing's gonna be like bulletproof. Maybe someday get air conditioning on it. Who knows? I don't know if I even left the compressor on it if there was room for it. Definitely took the AC compressor off, so no air. Sorry about that. And we'll have to modify the harness to make it work. I think I can do that. I'm not gonna make it super clean, like putting nice underneath the hood. We're just gonna make it functional. We can always find a different harness and clean it up later, or buy an aftermarket harness if we really want to. But I started doing this thing on a budget. Like I said, I traded a vehicle for it. I probably have $100 or $200 in that front end. We got a couple $100 in parts to convert front end to 5-lug, but then it'll be all new stuff, new brakes, new bearings, yada, yada, yada. The LS, I parted the pickup out, so I got a free engine and transmission. Cost me about $1,100, you know, 4 years ago to get that transmission converted to 2-wheel drive and rebuilt, so that thing should be pretty much bulletproof as a 4L80 is. Did the drive shaft myself, so I got nothing to that. We are gonna have to get some wheels and tires. I was gonna put the polished torque thrusts on this thing that are on the King, but you know, then the King came around, so we put those on there. So I kind of want some, I don't know, Steelies maybe with some original Ford caps, or you can't go wrong with some dirty 5-spokes. No Kreggers, definitely no Kreggers. Gotta find some running boards. The interior and a seat I'm not in love with, so we'll see. Seats, I don't really care about. As long as they're functional and comfortable and not super ugly, we'll deal with that. But steering column, got some money into that. Got some money into that pedal assembly underneath the floor. I got some money into that Speedway harness kit. We're gonna have to buy gauges. So yeah, LS swaps aren't free, but for 250, 300 horsepower, bang for your buck, way good. Let's get this thing up in the air. Check out the bottom side. Yeah, that's right. We got a lift because we're in a new shop. If you want to see video on the new shop, go check out the other channel. Mortske Repair. Also, check out the Mortske merch in the link below. Next level. They're the tees for the gold bond weather. You guys know what I mean. Get yourself one size bigger. Double X. Usually an XL guy, get a double X. All right, let's get this thing up in here. All right, let's get a better look at this thing. You good over there? You're not interested in seeing the bottom side? Oh, you've been under there and checked it all out. Got any notes for us? Yeah, it's all trash, he says. So there's that cross member I made. Oh, look, I even got fancy and welded bungs in there so you can't pinch it. Oh, that was pretty nifty. Put some nice gussets in there. Definitely didn't box the ends or paint the bottom side. Oh, that's right, I had to cut off the frame, and then I stubbed down these 2x3 rectangular tubing and then bolted on the mounts for the sway bar. It's coming back to me now, slowly but surely.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
That's where the AC compressor would have sat. Clearly it gets in the way of that engine mount. Yeah, new power steering hoses. Got that hooked up. I did have to put, what, 2 knuckles in there? And then I had to put that, whatever, not a carrier bearing, but that eyelet with that big 5/8 stud to hold the steering so that it doesn't flop around. Looks like it could use some rack and pinion bushings, but minor details. Oh, we got new brake hoses, like I said. We got new calipers, rotors, all that good stuff. We don't have new shocks. I'm sure they're fine. Just got the stock oil pan from the pickup, and it sits down there a little ways, but we still got plenty of room there. I don't know, I didn't want to go up too high, so we didn't have to cut up the floor. You can get a lower profile pan if we need be. It's got the factory block heater in it. Like I said, rebuilt transmission, missing starter. I don't even know if there's torque converter bolts installed. Probably why the starter's off. Yep, I can definitely spin the torque converter. We need to put our dipstick in, Jimmy. Dipstick! You can see how I grafted her in there. Nothing crazy, but should be plenty strong. Nobody ever sees it anyway. I'm gonna make a bracket for this front inner fender. I had to trim out the inner fenders a little bit. Like I said, this thing had a Volare subframe under it, and those were already trimmed a bit. That was terribly installed. You can about imagine from the rear C-notch. Look at this sweet brake return spring with the twisted number 9 wire. I don't remember if that was me. I feel like it was not. Yeah, that's definitely not my weld up in there. But so maybe we should address that. Like I said, this is some like generic, whatever. Oh, it's a CPP. Oh, sweet. CPP brake kit with proportioning valve. There was a cross member that went across right there. So we had to cut that out to get the 4L60 in here, but we left part of it for the brake booster. I think that was actually cut out before. And then I had to make my own transmission cross member. I kind of made a zigzag. I bought a nice tubular one for these pickups, but apparently it doesn't clear that brake setup. So I made that one. Not a terrible looking unit. We put a new transmission mount in there. Sure enough, Anchor brand, made in Korea. The finest country for making transmission mounts. You know, and I didn't use the same size washers, so that's pretty cool of me. Drive shaft, oh, not my best welding job there, but hey, it's in there. It's got not quite 2 fingers. Oh, it's hanging down, so maybe it's, yeah, we could have made it shorter too. Anyway, the reason I put that notch in the transmission crossover, so you got room to run exhaust, so maybe the exhaust guy can, you know, bring that side in and tuck her over here and then dual it out. Or I don't mind a big 3-inch single exhaust either. Duals don't get me too excited. Looks like this cross member got cut out as well. Looks like somebody actually welded that in there. That doesn't look factory original. Well, that's a factory original one. These bed cross members, they're all fabricated as well. This is where things get ugly. These 57 to 72 Ford pickup rear ends are pretty much a direct bolt in, like same spring width, everything. Again, way too many springs back here. They did flip it, and that's why they had to notch it. Yeah, look at that chunk of 3/8 ready rod in there. Classy, real classy. Looks like they never put shocks on it because I believe the shock mount was part of the bracket here for underneath the rear end, if you know what I mean. Nobody cut the park brake cables yet. That's handy. We can fix that. Yeah, that notch definitely needs to be addressed. To be honest, I wish I would have just thrown this whole frame away, but we're pretty committed now, so it'll be fine. We'll doctor it up, make it plenty strong. Nobody will see it back here. NBD, no big deal. Then I was always gonna make like a roll pan back here. Seeing how the front doesn't have a bumper, I could always put a bumper back here, but I was thinking a roll pan. Not really a roll pan guy, but I think it would fit all right on this thing. Like I said, the tailgate doesn't open. See how it's pretty much burned right into the garage door bracket that they have for a crossover. Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh, is that some rubber floor mat in there for an insulator between the fuel tank and the frame rail? Nice. Like, yeah, I don't know why they didn't just take that cross member out, and they could have dropped this thing down, you know, another 3 inches there, plus a little bit below that. They would have never had to cut up the bed floor. We'll see. Yeah, they would have had to make it a little bit narrower. Who knows? You can see they did a little patch in here. They got this lip here, dirt sits in there, rusts out the bed. You can see a little Bondo worm coming through right there. Yeah, you can see that rust coming through. And, you know, instead of cutting all the rust out, just scab in behind it and fill her with some more schmooze and Bondo in there. At least they're consistent. They did it on this side as well. Hey, you can't get a lot of tire in these things. Like I said, that's a 235. You could maybe get a 255 in there, but you better not have much body roll. Okay, so it looks like we gotta run a brake line from there back to there, and from there up to here, and we gotta tee off somewhere, and then go to each side. Oh, I should just have to go to right there. That should be the factory tee. Sweet! Sweet! Again, engine mounts, definitely not tight. We should tighten those up. But yeah, pretty sturdy. Suppose I could have boxed that in a little bit more, but we're not putting gobs of horsepower down. Looks like I welded her both sides. Should be good. Would have been way easier to weld if we had this lift. We didn't have the new shop back then. Have I told you about the new shop? Go check out the other channel, Mortske Repair, for a video on the shop. That's a big spider. Did the same thing up here. Looks like it rusted out, so they just kind of schmooed her full of mud. The old mud worms. You don't want to see those. Okay, break time. So this is just a regular 3/8 20, I believe, fitting to 3/16, and I double checked. Sure enough, that's all that we got up here too. So we're gonna slide one of those over our hose here, hose line. These are sweet line straightener. I don't think you can buy these anymore. The Sealy brand. pretty handy. This is the only way to go with these rolls of line. I hate the little short chunks. Just get yourself a flaring tool, get a roll of this. You'll be way happier. This stuff bends way easier than that stuff on a stick. Don't be like Napa Todd and splice a bunch together. Usually those little unions are just as much as a big chunk of line anyway, and you gotta have 3 unions to go from the master cylinder back. So don't be like Napa Todd and put a bunch of these unions in there. Where are they at? Well, that's a T, but these guys, don't put these little unions in there. Splices. They're like the butt connectors of brake tools. So we're gonna put a couple of these ends on there. We're gonna put one on there first, then we're gonna straighten it out, get it to where it needs to be, get her bent up, flare one end, put this on. You know the deal. We got our Master Cool hydraulic flaring tool, part number 72485-PRC. And then, like I said, you can do these push-to-connect GM fittings for the transmission cooler and for the fuel lines. They're freaking awesome. I love those things. You don't have to use a tool. So if you're on the side of the road and you got to change your fuel filter, you just bada bing, bada boom. Just get your pliers out, swap her out. And then you don't have a really leak point with a bunch of rubber hoses and hose clamps, flexi hose, yada, yada, yada. Okay, I'm gonna do some really boring brake stuff now, so stay tuned. Our front part run up to the junction up here. I put a little hoopty bend in it to get her tight against the frame rail. I'll have to snug her up a bit with a line wrench. I just did it with an open end. Don't do that. So now we just gotta come back here, sneak her down and bend her over and hook her right into this prop valve. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So here's what we got going on here. We got her coming out of the prop valve going up. Follows the top corner of the frame rail. All the way up here, and right into our T up there. I think we could get away with just putting one P-clip right there. That'll be good. We can tighten that up. We just gotta run one back here along the frame to this guy. And yeah, that was pretty easy. Well, we're not done yet, but seems like that's pretty easy. We got a brake hose coming for the rear if I don't have one in my stash. And we got new ones for the front. No point in bleeding it until we get all those on there, but yeah, they'll have brakes. So let's get this back one done. Should be pretty easy. Famous last words, right? I wonder if we should get rid of this bracket over in here. I mean, we should, but we're not gonna. They left us room to sneak a brake line. Perfect. Oh, the end of this one's got not only a bunch of dirt in it, but it's got that goofy big end. Of course, some critter decided they should make a nest in there. I'm sure that's fine. Yeah, instead of a 3/8, what's this? Like a, I don't know, 7/16, probably 1/2 inch, maybe 9/16. I don't know. You gotta have this fancy guy to go down to a 3/16 line. So make sure you put that on there. All right, that back line, pretty easy. I want to put a clamp in here and pull her down so she's, you know, kind of levelish through there. But yeah, just did a little 90 here, snuck her up to the frame, snuck her through that torched hole there. We could put a clamp there, pretty easy. Put a clamp there. We should probably have one more. We'll probably have to put something back in here. But yeah, that was a pretty simple one to do. I did find out after I flared that end on there that big son of a biscuit won't fit through there, so we kind of had to trim it off, work our way backwards, but we only wasted this much of the tube line. I cut it off about where I thought it needed to be, left myself some extra. So obviously I left myself about 3.5 inches extra. And we just trimmed her off. That side's just your normal 3/8 line. That's gonna really suck if I find a different brake hose that's got a different end on it. That would be my luck. You ever have that luck? Yeah, that's usually what my luck is. I think we're gonna let this thing down, and since I'm gonna probably end up ordering a brake hose, because I don't think I got one like that. Let's pull this back wheel off, or maybe both of them. Who am I kidding? We're just gonna pull one off. Take a look at everything in there. Make sure the wheel cylinders and the brakes and shoes and drums and all that looks good too, because we're ordering parts. We might as well do the whole shebang. She bangs, she bangs.
She bangs, she bangs.
Me and that Kenneth Huang? I don't know. Me and Kenneth, we just goes to show you, you people will watch anything. All right, I said this is a 57 to 72 rear end. There's our Ford casting number on it, C8TW5D. C means 60, 8 means 8. So we're gonna order brake parts for a 68. 5 on 5.5, so we know it's gotta be a pickup or a Bronco. Broncos are super narrow. It'd be awesome if that's what it was, but I'm almost positive that's not what it is. So we're gonna get whatever for a 68 F100. So let's see if the adjuster's loose. I think we'll just pop that wheel cylinder off and crack it apart, see how it looks, maybe stick some seals in it. If it's all pitted up, we'll get one of those coming too. So you guys love seeing me do brakes, so let's do some brakes. Get out the fancy tools. Oh, the drum looks real good. And the shoes look surprisingly good as well. They're pretty cheap. Probably should stick them in, but you know us. We're even cheaper. It's gonna be fine. Sometimes, even if you got a hoist, you gotta get in the old power stance. You know, the perfect stance, and you gotta hold your tongue just right so you don't twist off these brake lines. Because that side was not spinning, so you don't want to twist her off. Even though this line looks like crap and it's junk, we're still gonna save it because that's what we do. Got it. Let's fish that wheel cylinder out there and see how bad or good it looks. No, it won't come out because of that line. Oh no. Come to Papa. Yeah. There we go, wheel cylinder threaded out here. Well, there's fluid back there. How much Hoover Schneef's gonna be behind door number? Ooh. Yeah. We should probably get some wheel cylinders coming. Oh, not good. The old A-Purvis blade knife has seen some nastiness. Yep, let's get some wheel cylinders coming. If we got it, we can Mortske bench overhaul these sons of guns, but I'm guessing new ones are less than 15 bucks a piece. Not worth our time. So glad we opened this up. Maybe we'll see what shoes cost. We ain't gonna buy them though. Let's check that adjuster too. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna want to take that apart and unseize that. I think that's what we're calling her at night though, because it's Monday, Mortske Mondays, and I've had enough. How about you, Duff? Where are you hiding even? We're gonna get washed up, call it a night. Somebody said that you can always tell if a guy's a good mechanic by his hands, you know how beat up they are and grease under their fingernails. I concur. If you got somebody who's a car guy and they got finely trimmed nails and their cuticles are pushed back, and like I got grease that I can't even get out of them. You ever seen people who work on diesel engines? Those guys are just complete dirt balls when they go to church. But you just can't get that stuff out from underneath there. So if somebody tells you that they're a car guy and they're wearing their button-up Hawaiian shirt and their nice flowing white hair and a ponytail, and they don't have a single speck of grease anywhere to be seen on their hand, They might be a car guy, but they pay somebody else to do their work for them. Okay, rant over. We're back here at home base, Mortske Worldwide, the new shop. I told you got a new shop? Go check out more videos on the new shop and the old shop and other things at More Mortske Repair. Link in the description. More Mortske Repair. Did a little volunteering at the Sargent County Museum today. That place is pretty neat. If you're ever in southeast North Dakota, go check it out. Did some painting and some scraping and some weed pulling and moving heavy stuff around and jacking stuff up because it was sinking into the ground. Did some electrical work. Speaking of electrical work, Das Bronco is not charging and it's got a bad drain on it, so luckily we made it home. I could see why Handy Andy was spraying this morning. That wind is really bucking. Had to hang on to my hat the whole ride home, but we made her back. Also, we picked up some goodies with the Das Bronco. Got her all emptied out, and we got some stools from the old shop, and never mind the cooler. We got the front wheels that match the rear wheels. Also got some brake parts ordered. They're probably not going to be here in time to finish this video up, but they're coming. We even got new shoes. They came with looks like 2 1/4 and 3 inch. We got the 2 1/4, the babies. And yeah, like I said, I think that's what we're gonna do next. Get those front wheels on here. What else did we do today? Oh yeah, we picked up a bunch of LS parts. We picked up some starters because we're missing a starter. I couldn't find the gas pedal, so hopefully it's in the tote. And we got an air box and engine cover and just air plumbing, yada yada yada, and some other harnesses and a computer mount. Grabbed my bundle of LS stuff. Get some extra connectors. So, that being said, let's get some wheels off and clean up that pile of parts. That's what I like doing. That's how I'm basing some of these projects, is how much room the parts take up that we got sitting around. So those rotors and wheel bearings and calipers, all that's taking up some space. I don't remember if I got pads. Hopefully those are loaded calipers. Otherwise, we're gonna be short some pads. It's for my life. Look at that spider, Duff. Get him. You spider killing son of a gun. Oh, you are a strange dog. Okay, let's get rid of these goofy 6-lug wheels. All right, we got everything stripped down, cleaned up, just the way we like it. And I got our new rotor, compliments of China, but it's been sitting in there so long that all this plastic stuck to it. So let's see if the old super scraper just takes real good care of that. Frickin' Hell's Angels are tearing by. Duff ain't scared. He don't worry about the Hell's Angels. Oh yeah, makes quick work of it. Hit us up if you need one of these. The old SS1 is my go-to. And then the SS5 short for valve cover gaskets and small engine stuff. We got the SS5 long too as well. Can't go wrong with the old SS1. You want to get all this off there, otherwise it's going to get embedded in your new brake pads, which I don't even know if we have yet. The old ones look surprisingly good though, so I guess we got to. We could use those. We really need to. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Way more gooder. Let's get some bearings in there now. Let's see if our bearings fit first. Looks like we got a WT A18. I'm guessing that's a set A18 for you Timken folks. Sure enough. SKF BR11 Timken, set 11. Why would you call it a WT A18 if it's a set 11? What is the country of origin on these gems? Oh, China. Always make sure you're oh my gosh. Look at that big hooey right there. The cage is damaged, but shouldn't matter. It should run fine. Let me know in 5,000 miles when this bearing goes out. I should have not ran that thing. She must have got the nookie. It's all about the nookie. Let's see if the small bearing fits. That's the reason we're doing all this. Get that nice little 5-on 4.5 volt pattern. Look at this. A WTA 16. Guess what it is? Timken, set 16. Doesn't that make a lot more sense? I think so. Grandpa, he was always a stickler. Stickler. Grandpa was always a stickler. He said, make sure your races and bearings are a match set. Oh, we're just gonna use whatever races in there. Looks good. KJ and all hooeyed up on this one at least. I'm guessing Rock Auto won't let me send that back after 3 years. Let's go grease these up. Well, let's see if the, got a bunch of casting metal in there. I'm sure they clean these things out perfectly. Let me scratch around in there. Looks like there's some crud left over from the casting process. We're good. Let's see if the seal fit. That would be my luck. Get the bearings all loaded up and then we can't get a seal in there. Seems real small. That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Nope. I think we're good. Which way does that lip go? It's gotta go in. That seems weird. That'll be fun to install. You know, one more silly thing to check. Let's see if these bearings fit the spindle. They should. You know, according to the internet, you just get these earlier brakes and alterate on these later ones, you get this bolt pattern, but can't believe everything you read on the internet. Moment of truth. Of course the Cyclops would go dead right now. Good thing we don't need it. Fits! Woohoo! The internet sometimes helps. Sometimes it's just waste of space that are on there sitting in their mom's basement typing away like they know how to convert lighter Dodge Dakotas to 5-lug. Somebody mentioned that I didn't have to cut the floors up in that 61 Impala. You just pull out the glove box and you look up there and it's stamped up there. No, it's not. It's a wives' tale. Oh, and another tech tip. If you don't have that fancy greaser and you don't like getting your hands all greasy when you're greasing wheel bearings, just take a Ziploc bag, put a bunch of grease in there, and just sit and squeeze it from the outside. Keeps your hands clean. You can throw the next one in the bag, squish it through. You can sit there and drink a sandwich and enjoy yourself and knock your hands all dirty. Tech tip of the day. The more you know. Oh, need a dust cap. Put that on the list. Dust cap. Might as well pack our new bearing full of dirt on a test drive. So there wasn't one on here. I didn't order a new one. Well done, Mortske. Well done. Let's see if the caliper fits. Hey! Guess who didn't get loaded calipers with brake pads? This guy. We're just killing it today. We're gonna put the old ones back on there. Look at all the meat they've got. These things are like basically Arby's brake pads.
We have the meat.
Oh, hey, look, they fit even. If you put them in the right way. It's good if it goes. Maybe. Not now. Looks like it works. You Mopar guys, what's this contraption? I'm guessing it's some type of brake anti-chatter hooiness. Really? A bent up coat hanger? That's what you guys come up with? Everything's a hammer when you need a hammer. Couple notes while we're over here. That anti-chatter rod wasn't on this side. Again, that hex looks like it's kind of missing that one little corner there. So we'll have to open that up a bit. What is going on up there? What are you? That's interesting. Is that what they put in there to try to patch some Bondo? Who knows what that was. We don't need it. You know these things always rust out right here? I'll show you why. There's this stiffener right here. All the dirt drops in above it. That's what makes it rust. So now you know. He must have did a little straightening. He got some wormholes in there from the old Bondo. Body filler is the correct terminology. Bondo is a patented name. Speaking of patented names, a couple things on my mind. It's not Ziplocs, they're resealable bags. They're not Band-Aids, they're adhesive bandages. You know, these are all copyrighted names that you can't use. What's the other one? Velcro. It's not Velcro, it's hook and loop tape. They're not vice grips, they're locking pliers. They're not crescent wrench, they're adjustable end wrenches. We're getting off topic. I was thinking about this under here, you know, this thing's got a, whatever, 100, 150,000 miles in this front end. Everybody's like, oh, use an S10, use an S10, use an S10. This is why I don't use S10s. You get rack and pinion with this, and you just graft on the front. So really, the only mounts you gotta make are for the core support up front. You put an S10 swap in, you gotta make all new cab mounts, you gotta make all new box mounts, you gotta make everything. And that S10 is gonna have freaking 150,000 miles on it too. So here, yeah, we gotta do ball joints, tie rod ends if you wanna do it all right. But this is why I like these from here forward, because you get rack and pinion, you get 4.5 bolt pattern. There's way more, I don't care who you talk to, there's way more wheels out there for 4.5s than there is for 4 3/4, because 4 3/4 is only S10s, that's about it, just kidding. Chevelles, Camaros, stuff like that. Even the big GM cars are 5-on-5, other GM pickups are 5-on-5 or 6-hole. But 4.5, AMC, Mopar, International, Ford, you name it. They're all over out there. Granted, if you're buying new wheels, then you can pick whatever you want. But if you're buying new stuff, then buy a kit to put a front end in. Especially something like this, you can buy all kinds of kits. Industrial Chassis, I think is who it is. El Polaco on the ham. He's the one who kind of originated these. He was making mounts to put these Dakota front ends in a lot of stuff. I actually did one for a buddy of mine on his unibody. So it's super cool. And then they dropped off the face of the earth. He kind of was focusing on like 32 Ford stuff for a while. I think he's out of Arizona now. And now I think he's making them again. And he's making for a bunch of different stuff like 55, 59 Chevys. I think he was doing pretty much all these Fords, 48 to 52, 53 to 56, 57 to 60, 61 to 66. I don't know if he had made one yet for the 67 to 72 Fords. That's the killer on those 67 to 72 Fords, that stupid twin I-beam front end. You just can't slam them down without doing something. Crown Vics, I hate Crown Vics. They're super wide. You only got a certain wheel selection because they're so wide. Yeah, you can narrow them. Well, then at that point, you got so much time into it, then you could do just as well cut the front end off and stubbed a Ford LTD front end or whatever you wanted. I'm particular about my front end swaps, you know. The Volare that was under here, I've had one of those. Those things work super great. You can't get, like, there's a certain torsion bar. Those are torsion bars, so they're adjustable, which is pretty cool. But there's some bushing that they don't make anymore, so you got to find a new old stock one, which is the stock is basically depleted. So there's some obsolete parts for those things. Pacers, cousin's got one of those in a 4753 Chevy pickup. Works great. There's just so many of them. Camaros work good. That's the other thing is those S10s, the steering box is way up front, like right up here, and you got to just butcher the core support on these things, where this thing is like literally right in front of the wheel. It's nice and tight. It's not a great big box. It's just a rack and it's down low. You just sneak your steering linkage right up to it. Super good. That's why I like Dodge Dakotas, and that's why I despise S10s. I did an S10 for a buddy. I've been around a bunch of them. Don't get me wrong, there's some clean ones. Brent up at half-ass, he does a bunch of them, but it's just, to me, it's more work than it's worth. Dodge Dakotas are getting hard to come by. S10s are getting hard to come by too, but especially the boxy ones, the 82 to 93. There you have it, rant over. I'm gonna get this side finished up, and we're gonna have a sandwich and some supper. So, let's get this done. I mean, I hate Dodge Dakota front ends. Just leave them all out there for me. Don't be buying them up. Two-wheel drive Dakotas, don't be buying them. I'm getting smarter, believe it or not. Oh, when you're as dumb as me. You can only get smarter. We're gonna take and we're gonna fit this hose up there, reamer it out before we get it mounted to the caliper. How bright is that? That's bright seal Cyclops here. Not a paid sponsor. Also, we should fix that hole in the kick panel, firewall, inner fender area. That is where the stock heater box comes out and runs out, and maybe it fished along this whole fender. Maybe that's what that fishnet stocking was for. I forgot about that. I don't remember that part being there. I remember that being there. That's where you get your fresh air, you know, right off the wheel, I guess. Okay, let's get this side wrapped up. Well, this thing is gonna be fast AF. Look at that frickin' yellow zinc plated gold looking bolt. Dang. Dang. We're a real hot rod now. We're gonna be handling them corners. Nobody's business. Does have a sway bar on it. We should have got the slotted rotors. Oh yeah. Never mind the noise. Duff's eating a pig's ear back there. No, he didn't kill a pig himself, but you know, if I really cared about this thing, I would have painted, you know, the inside parts of the rotors. Don't want to paint the outside and the calipers and stuff, but we don't do any fancy stuff like that around here. Not very often. Whatever Freiberger says, just get it going. Just get it good enough. It ain't got to be perfect. Let's get this thing on the road. I'm gonna drive it this year. Never really have driven this pickup. Drove around the block. Cleveland wouldn't get out of its own way. Here we are. All right, that wraps her up for what we got. Like I said, we still should probably put some new pads in there. We gotta bleed them. We gotta find some dust caps. Gotta figure out what we're doing for wheels and tires. I got those rollers that match the rears, but I don't know if they're for me. Plus the tires are old and dry rotted, so we will have to figure out something there. I'm gonna go enjoy a sandwich though. Think about what we're gonna do next. Okay, we're back here working on the old chopped F1. Got the torque converter bolt. Since we got her on the hoist, let's put these in there. I don't know why GM used these bolts. They got the Allen hex in the middle and the hex on the outside. And these things are torqued to the frickin' moon from the factory. I've heard of several people having them strip out, round off, whatever you want to call it, and have to cut them off in order to get the transmission out or engine out, whatever. I think Napa Todd had one do that in his Tahoe. But yeah, these things are just cranked to the moon. And I don't know why they have the little tiny Allen in the middle. That seems like a great opportunity to round them off. And they don't have much of an area to access to get them. You pretty much got to go through the starter hole, and they don't have a nice big inspection cover on the bottom to turn it over. So you got to go through there with a screwdriver. There's a hole in the bottom. You go through the screwdriver, but GM really shot themselves on the foot with these things. You know, the 4L60, I've been calling it a 4L80. The 4L60 is just best transmission ever, right? Maybe not so much, but a lot of missed opportunities there, GM. Let's get these things slammed in. Then we can put a starter on. And then we can do something else. Here we go. I will be using a 15 millimeter to tighten these up, not the Allen hex. So of course, when I took the last one out, the flex plate is in the right spot to get the first one in. You always want to turn it over and get them all in place before you tighten it up. I can't remember if this has got 3 or it's got 4. Most of the GMs have 3, but we're going to spin it all the way around just to make sure there ain't a 4th one we're missing. Good news is, after 3 years of sitting with no exhaust manifolds, the engine still turns over. So that's a win. How long does it have to sit before we can do a will it run? Can we do a will it run on an LS that's been sitting for 3 years? What am I? Mickelson just did one on a SS Monte Carlo, the LS4, that's been sitting for 4 years. So I mean, I guess we could if we wanted to lower ourselves to MRC standards. Sure enough, 120 degrees apart. All right, now let's tighten them up. I'm sure Wes knows the torque spec. We just give her the gusto and call her good. Now we got the torque converter hardware situation wrapped up. Let's get a starter on this thing. We haven't worked on a starter in a hot minute here. I think we had it off that Buick. What are you doing hiding under the Bronco? The license plates are big oily. That thing leaks enough oil. Somebody mentioned we should call it big oily. But guess what? Don't leak anymore, surprisingly. Maybe it's just empty. I don't know what starter we should use. This thing looks like she's been at the bottom of a lake. That one's pretty greasy. So clearly it's off a 6.0. So I'm guessing this is the one that came off of here. I don't know. I wouldn't have saved them if they didn't work, right? I think we'll put this guy on. And if that don't work, then we got options. Because guess what? If I wouldn't have brought these two in, this one wouldn't have worked. Gotta go find some bolts though. I'm guessing these got a special starter bolt too. Go dig through my LS hardware collection. You mean you don't have an LS bolt bin? Come on, get with the times. You gonna show them the LS starter bolts? Yeah, they're pretty much just like a regular small block starter bolt, only they got a little tiny puny head on them. And then you gotta make sure that they're knurled. What a fun word to say, knurled. All right, let's slide her together and hook up some wires. We should be good to go. Man, do I love starters. If I could just work on starters all day, that would be basically my dream. Just kidding. Gonna hit this mating surface with the old super scraper. Scrape any rust or other crud that decided to build up on there on us in the last 3 years. I think there's a little cover that goes right here too below it. I don't remember. But it's probably not going back on either. This is the first starter we've done on the hoist. This hoist thing. Totally worth losing the shop for. You ever notice how starters don't really go out in these late models because they're fuel injected and takes out the human equation on there where people don't set their points or adjust their points or change spark plugs or not know how to run a choke or pump the carburetor too much or know how to tune a carburetor? Yeah, engines that run good. Don't get me wrong, starter technology has come a long ways too, but you don't put starters in like you used to back in the day. I say that because I'm so old. Okay, let's tighten that up. Just my starter analogy. Bada bing, bada boom. Starter install complete. So like keeping all my parts and totes, like that's for the 71 C10, that's for the Bronco, that's 6-liter stuff, paint buffers, shop rags, 88 Suburban, 86 C10, K5 Blazer, 60 Cadillac, 06 Cummins, yada, yada, yada. So I got one for this chopped F1. So I started digging through it, you know, you got your hubcaps, these crappy floor patch pans that they had, heater controls, heater box. Did I say Chinesium manifolds? Yeah, license plates, fuel system parts. Anyway, look what I found in there. Dust calves. I must have taken those off to measure wheelbase when I put that front end on. So we got those. We can clean them up, stick them on there. Also, I found that starter block off plate. Tech tip of the day: put this on before you put the starter on. So now we're gonna take that starter off quick and put this on there. But while we're cleaning up dust caps, maybe I'll clean this up as well for dumb. But I also found my gas pedal too, so that's good. How do these things get so rusty? I suppose they're never painted? No, it looks like it was painted. Anywho, we found some more pieces. So let's fix that up right. Get these on there. How do they get so beat up? Gosh dang. This one almost looks like she's chrome. All right, got our dust caps installed. Another tech tip of the day. If you got a car with steelies on it and you want to change the look of that car for, you know, 50 bucks, get yourself a deck of playing cards. Put that around the wheel. Just slide it in between the rim and the tire. That tech tip compliments the Dave Chappelle, a dirt every day. And a can of paint. Scuff them, paint them up. Get yourself 20 new lug nuts, 24, 16, however many lug nuts your vehicle's got. 32 if it's a 3/4 ton. And get yourself a couple of new dust caps. Paint your rotors, your drums, whatever you got. Just the center part, don't paint the outside. New dust caps, new lug nuts, fresh coat of paint. Change the whole look of the car if you got steelies, so. And you're probably only out, inflation's not real. So, I mean, it probably costs you 60 bucks these days, so. There you go. Dust caps, lug nuts. Change the look of something. Don't put aftermarket rusty lug nuts back on, even if they're your rusty Kraggers. Get some new lug nuts. It's like brakes, you know, you got them apart, put new pads in there, put new lug nuts on. If you got steelies or wheels that they show, if you're putting hubcaps on, it don't frickin' matter. Okay, I'm gonna go put this starter shield on after I clean it up. Look at how good these things cleaned up. Good enough for the girls we go with. That one's battered and abused, but we'll put that on the passenger side, nobody will see it. We got our engine mounts tight. There should have a lock nut on there, but I lost that. Just had a castle nut. So they're double nutted for now until I get some nylocks. Also, I had in my notes to check this brake hardware, and these bolts seem a little bit short and they have lock washers, which I really don't care for. And this bolt is missing. So we're gonna go ahead and double check all those. We're probably just gonna leave that return spring for now too, because we're lazy. And old Chin was looking at the footage that he's reviewing, and he goes, are those axle perches welded? Sure enough. But we're gonna pull some leaf springs out anyway and play with some tires and ride height and all that good stuff. So we'll adjust the pinion angle and then we'll weld those. And for all intents and purposes, it'd probably be fine just being clamped. It's not like we're gonna have big tires and all kinds of horsepowers. Right, Duff? You really like that Bronco. Okay, let's snug up some brake hardware and find some better hardware and longer hardware and get that out of the way. We got 3 bolts in there now. There were some fine threaded ones on these that weren't quite long enough, so we put coarse thread. And then we got flange nuts that have Loctite in them. Did you know that Loctite has a shelf life? Who'd have known? These are well beyond it, but they should be fine. Also, this bracket, we checked all the other hardware, it's tight. There's a couple of mounts that go through the side of the frame, so should be plenty beefy. I do remember I had to notch this corner out of that bracket to get it to fit. And then you see this brake pedal pivot here? It's a 1/2-inch bolt. There should be at least 2 threads sticking out past that nylock, so that's disappointing. And also it's in single shear. You know, like a door hinge is double shear. This is just in single shear instead of double shear. So ideally, you'd like to see this, well here, that's double shear right there. Just like that. See how it's got whatever, 2 brackets? One on each side instead of just one, like this is. It'd be a lot cooler if it was in double shear. It'd be a lot cooler if that bolt was a hair longer. I don't know, I thought CPP made some pretty good stuff, but I'm questioning it now. So yeah, I think we're pretty much wrapped up on the brake stuff down here. We still got to run a vacuum hose for our booster, and we'll probably do something with that spring, maybe. Not really sure yet. Let's move on to something else. Let's see if we can't fish our dipstick in there, Jimmy. Look at all the debris that blue rag kept from getting in there. It's still a good rag yet. New one even. The dipstick's got that little hook-de-doo on there. And that's gonna go right in that bell housing bolt, allegedly. And it's tight against the firewall. We didn't give ourselves any room for a dipstick, Jimmy. And that would be a shame if we had to modify the firewall for a dipstick. Maybe we can fish her through. Oh yeah. Look at that. We're not as dumb as we look. Maybe. Come on, baby. There. All kinds of room. I don't know what I was thinking about. Never slide your dipstick in dry. Oh yeah. So we just gotta put a nut on there. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I think what I want to do now is finish up the bottom of that steering column, and then we can do our shift linkage, which requires it to be in the air. But to finish the bottom of that steering column, I think we want the front clip off. We got Mojo pulling trailer light wires. I need his assistance to pull it off safely, not screw her all up. Oh man, so much more room to work on things. Would have been real easy to hook up them brake hoses from up here. Yeah, this is our brake booster hose. We got a run down there, or plug for the time being. I believe this is for the throttle pedal. This goes to our fuse relay panel. These go to our ECU. Gonna fish this down to our transmission. You gonna do that? I'll hand it under. You want me to lift her up? Okay. I think this is for our AC, which we no longer have, so we don't have to worry about that. You could spend a whole bunch of time cleaning up this harness if you really wanted to, but we're not gonna. This is our, I forget what they call that. It's not our breather. It's for the rad. We gotta hook that up to the radiator. That's why we got the LS one off the eBay. I can't think of the name. Chin will put it down below. Then we're gonna have to plug off. Oh boy, these are really brittle. Plug off these heater ports, unless we hook up a heater. Probably not. Stick some manifolds on it. Oh, we got to get some manifold gaskets. We got some, but I think they're at the old shop. Because we got a new shop, you know? Check it out, more Mortske Repair. Another YouTube channel we got, the second channel, you know? Because there's more of it. Give you a shop tour. This shop and the old shop. Check that out. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And check out the merch. Link down below. Duff will approve of it. See? Shows you how much he approves. All right. Let's get this steering column mounted so that we can create our shift linkage. I think the shift linkage bolts on. Yeah, there's a bolt pattern around the base of this. And then we got to get our manifold in there. Hopefully that clears. Oh boy. I swear I had manifolds on this, but maybe not. And then we got to run our linkage. Should be interesting. This is where most people take the shortcut and go with the floor shifter, but you know us, not floor shifter fanatics. What are you checking out down there? Cross member? You gonna route that shift linkage? All right, you're a good kid. Let's see what we got in here right now. I feel like there was like an exhaust clamp bolt just kind of hanging down there at one time. Pretty crude, because that's what it had in it. When we got it was some old Ford steering column or something with some terrible Colorado Customs flamed steering wheel that was like solid. It was like a disc with a rim around. Oh, it was terrible. We sold it on eBay because I couldn't even stand to look at it anymore. People make terrible decisions. I'm people. I make a lot of bad decisions. Let's get this column mounted. It's gonna take some figuring, so I'll show you in a minute when I got some figuring done. It's kind of a pain getting in and out of these cabs though with this hoist, but we'll deal with it, huh, Duff? All right, wanted to double check and make gosh dang sure that we had clearance before we got that column mounted. And of course we do. I think I took these manifolds off because I was gonna paint them. Yeah, right. Wishful thinking. Probably like I should have painted this knuckle before it got all rusty. Oh well. All right, let's get this thing secured down here at the bottom. I could do it from the outside. We'll go take a look at the inside. Weigh our options. Well, surprise, surprise. I got a lower column mount in here. It's kind of a cheesy, cheap, generic one, but they're adjustable via these tiny little bolts that they pivot on, and then you can clamp it. This is a 2-inch collar. Maybe we'll make another one that's a little bit more robust and nicer and seals all this up later on down the line, but for now, that'll work. Now we gotta put our tilt lever and our shift lever and all that stuff on here and get that all adjusted up here before we go down to the bottom and work on our shift linkage. So I'm gonna put that together real quick like. hate these aftermarket parts. Now you know why I try to go with OEM everything. So we finally got this thing set. We gotta have, well, it's cockeyed a little bit to the right there. You gotta have this shift indicator, you know, level, left and right. Well, then this sits level. But then the frickin' shifter is too long, gets in the dash, so we had to slide it back. So hopefully we got enough shaft up there, otherwise we're gonna have to cut a new shaft. You got a dog nose peeking through there, he's inspecting away. What are you doing down there, you goon? But anyway, look at this frickin' turn signal. You know, shouldn't that be sitting horizontal? Don't you think, Duff? I suppose we can always heat and bend it, but I mean, there's that notch that it goes into right there. And that's really the only thing we can do. And my light went out. Puddin's got one of these in his Travelall, and he's got issues with this turn signal indicator, which I think is just a GM part, so you could, you know, get some other aftermarket one or maybe find a factory GM one. What are you doing, you goon? Yeah, I know, it's terrible. So I don't know what we do there. Because I know I'm gonna smack my knee every time I climb in and out. The seat's sitting way too low as it is, so we're gonna have to fix that, ain't we, Duff? Anyway, I'm gonna go find a new light. And now we got that sitting where it's pretty much gotta sit. Now we'll go down to the other end. See if we can't finger out some shift linkage, eh? Also, there's a little, there's the spring in there for this, which the 92 needs. And that was a real bugger to get in there. And of course, none of this comes with instructions, you know, because why would it? You spend a few $100s. So there's that. Pretty awesome. It does come with the sweet adapters, so you can put one of those 6-bolt Grant steering racy fancy wheels on it. I'd rather they kept that and had the turn signal, so it's freaking straight with the world. Who knows what that's made out of? Something that we probably can't heat and bend. Awesome. I don't really care for these knobs either, but I really hate when guys use OE columns out of like 73 to 87 Chevy pickups or Impalas, full-size cars. It's got the ignition switch though, and cruise and all that stuff. Oh, telescopic, you even have a Cadillac. Barf. I like these aftermarket ones, which you should probably pony up and get like a Flaming River, and I did it, a good one. Not the Chinesium Fleabay Bro Dash Speed Special out of Corona, California. Done ranting on that one. Let's get, hopefully the shift linkage is better quality. Also, this column mount is from them as well. You can see I gotta tighten it up a bit, but it leaves a bit to be desired. You get what you pay for. I mean, it's only my steering. Awesome. So here's what we got to do for the shifter. We got either this bent linkage or straight. Also, it came with a shift indicator for standard 3-speed. Well, that's part of the column. This shifter kit, well, that came with it too. The linkage, that was separate. You can see I slid her up about 2 inches there, which doesn't really affect anything. It actually gets, well, the shift linkage is going to go up, but it slides it closer towards the shift point, so it's going to be a wash. Oh, and then this slides in there for in case of a crash, so we just got to make sure we got enough engagement in there so that it doesn't slide out. But like I said, falls fails, so we'll just have to get a new chunk of shaft. So we got to put that and bolt her on down here, and that's why it's got all those bolt holes. You only use 4 of them, and we can clock it however we want, and we got to shoot her down to there. Easy enough, right? Hopefully that kit has something we can bolt on down there. Well, we got to take this shaft out anyway, so we'll see how much engagement there is there, and then that way we can slide that linkage up there and see which one works the best, and then we'll just leave that shaft off until we get it all fingered out, eh? There you can see we got, oh, a good 3.5 inches slid in there, so that should be more than enough. Also, look at me, got the fancy chrome shaft. It's already getting rusty. Yeah, should have got the stainless one, I guess. Tech tip of the day, when you got these knuckles that got these set screws, take and center punch where they go on, and then take and run your drill bit in there so that that screw's got a good spot to set and it don't rattle loose and it can't slide back and forth on this flat shaft. So center punch them and then center drill them. You don't have to drill it all the way out, just put a little dimple in there so that's got something to grab onto. All right, back to steering column things. So you want to have this thing offset one way or the other so that it's sticking out like this. So as you pull the column down, you got the most travel. Because if you got it down like this, as you pull it down, it's going to not have as much travel. And after you get below a certain point, it's going to be pulling the other way instead of pushing it down. You get what I'm saying? And clearly we can't go to the inside because of the valve cover, or we'd have to have a really short amount of throw. So we're going to have to go in this way. And as we pull the column, it's going to pull up. So we got to hope we can get on the right side of the shifter down there in the 4L60 so that we can pull it up as we shift it down. Make sense? Yeah, otherwise we would have to get a shorter column, or shorten this column, or slide this column up so that we could get far enough up here that we have the linkage over on this side. Yeah, but then you get tight into with the firewall and everything else too, so let's check into that kit, see what we got, and we'll put her up in the air, and hopefully we can make something work. Oh, Johnny Law Motors. Yay. It's like a spin-off of Bro Dash Speed. Yeah, no comment. So what do we got in here? Looks like just a shift rod with a bushing on the end. And some eyelets, heim joints, whatever you want to call them. And then a bracket that goes on the transmission. And an adapter. And it's adjustable. Linkage, what do you want to call it? Let's put this on there and see what we get. A lot of thread on here so we can shorten this thing up if we've got to. So here's our stock bracket. Oh, also, in case you haven't noticed, here's the stock linkage. GM had a cable that came way back here, looped through here, and as you shifted it, pulled back. You can always tell part because it's got that big clunk there. See, it's like tink, 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 clunk. Park to reverse, big clunk. So we're gonna put it in park. We're going to take that nut off and get rid of that bracket. We could probably get rid of that one. We'll leave it on there just in case we need to use it for something. We'll see what we got. So yeah, that should be right. Nope, never mind. It's all bass backwards. So as we pull down on the shifter, it's going to pull up on that. So we got to be on this side of the shift linkage, the top side, because it's going to want to pull it up. Wait, what? I don't know. My brain's not working right. Meow. We gotta get this off anyway. We'll get that other one on there and we can adjust, see what we get. Here is our predicament. We could probably make that work, shoot right over there. But we're hitting our brake pedal already. And so as you hit the brakes, it's gonna ramrod right into that and shift your transmission and or prevent your brakes from applying. So the other thing we could do is we could put a bend in it, but I don't know how well that is going to work either. So we got a couple other options. We can take and run a pivot point straight from the transmission over the frame with a linkage coming off of that and shift it that way. Or we can get a cable style kit, buy another kit. So I'm going to keep checking this out because since we already got it and we paid for it, and see what we can do there before we go ahead. And I think the cable kit's probably going to be our best option, but let's exhaust all avenues first. Let's even see if they make a cable kit. I'm sure they do. So here's where we're at. Let's just bend the snot out of that because it's easy and we got it. And we're just basically sacrificing a piece of ready rod. So we can always make a new one if we can't straighten it back out. And the other thing is, if we're going to do that pivot shaft, you know, like a shift shaft on a 64 Chevy wagon like my wagon's got, or the bubble top, that's going to have a ton of time in fabricating that. And I'm not feeling it right now. I just want to get this thing on the road and going. So I think that's going to be a last ditch effort. And in the meanwhile, we'll see what we can come up with for a cable setup if this doesn't work. Cable setup's going to be a second option. Totally fab something from scratch. It's going to be our third option. So let's bend this thing up. I'm going to take some measurements and some marking. We're going to go over to Vernon the Vice. We're going to wang dang doodle this thing out. Not sure how well you guys can see that, but that actually sneaks past the pedal pretty well. And then it, whatever, fits close to the transmission and the shift linkage. The only thing is I'm wondering is, as we shift it down, if it's going to get into the pedal. but we can bend her a little differently if we need to as well. See how this works. Get us started anyway. Because I just got to thinking the factory ones on like a GM, they got a bend in them, although they're a lot heavier rod. Worst case scenario, we just get ourselves like a 3/8 rod instead of this 5/16 or 1/2 inch, whatever we need. 7/8, you know, hex shaft. Real nice. Feel like they built it down in Oklahoma. Well, we got more debacles. As I shift it goes down. The shift linkage hits the column. We had this thing flipped the other way. It was hitting the bracket, so I flipped the bracket around. And now it's hitting the column tube. So I'm gonna try putting a bend on it down here and then jogging over and seeing if that fixes it. And if we can't figure that out, then we're probably gonna be cable shifting, eh, Duff? Yeah. I can look down on my peasants from up here. All right, before I crack my melon, I'm gonna get down and bend that rod. So here's where we're at. Got a bend up here and another correction down there. We got it all the way extended out down there. We might have to shorten it up a bit. And we got some play down here. Show them what we got, Duff. For some reason, park is all the way over here now. I don't know. We got reverse, neutral, drive, 3, 2. We can't get low. So we're gonna do a little playing down there, but I think you can watch this shaft. It's just not. She ain't girthy enough. Maybe it'll work for a test drive if we get to that point, but I think we got to go with a cable or just spend a bunch of time either beefing this up or going to that rocker shaft assembly. So I looked in a low car cable kit. Of course, low cars, you're paying for that. It's freaking like $200 and some odd. So there goes the budget, but we got to have it. Like I said, this will work for now. We're going to do a little bit more fine tuning and hopefully we can get it better. Yeah, it's just that angle that it's at. If it was a straight shot, that's what this thing is meant for, it would be golden. But so for about 5 minutes of content, I've spent 3 hours. I probably have 3 hours more, and we'll get another 1.5 minutes of content. The joys of doing builds. We should stick to wheel it runs, I think. Yeah, way easier. All right, we are sick of playing with shifters. So let's do some plumbing. We already did some brake lines. Let's do some fuel lines and such. So here's what I run: one of these Walbro knockoff fuel pumps, inline thingermabobbers. There's no return on there, so I was gonna try to use this. The old Farmstead, he'll recognize that. Might have been laying on his desk for several years. I got these quick couplers. That's what's on the back of the engine. There's the 3/8 ones. These are 5/16. And I don't know what that... Oh, that fitting will go into this Walbro pump and then go to a JIC. I got this inline GM pump that's got the quick connect on it. I'd like to have quick connects on both ends. That would be sweet. Then you can change her out simply enough on the side of the road. So I'm thinking just run rubber line from the tank to the pump, and then of course everything after that's got to be high pressure. You can just have regular fuel hose and barbs and hose clamps, but after that it's got to be all high pressure. So I got nylon, is that what it's called? Whatever, the hard plastic hose, kind of like this, to go from the fuel pump forward. But I don't know how we're going to do that because they don't make push to connect fitting for these. Well, last time I looked 3 years ago, so maybe we'll have to do some checking. Of course, this doesn't tell us what it is. And it's not regular pipe thread. It's something that uses that copper washer. We could, flare stuff, but what fun is that? And then this rubber stuff's easy to route. Let's take a look. Oh, Wesley, he's got a fancy tool for like pushing it on there. So we're gonna have to find our own way to put ends on it. I've already done it in the past on another LS swap, and it can be done. It's not much fun. Hey, I'm a poet, didn't even know it. We got some 5/16, some 3/8. I got some new rolls of this stuff somewhere, but I can't find it. Imagine that. Just switched shops, moved everything within the last month. No idea where it's at. I mean, I got 3 good ideas where it's at. Looked all over in those spots for it. Nothing. Did you find it? No, you didn't find it. So we're just gonna wing it. We're just gonna start stringing lines. Hopefully we got enough here and just go from there. Also, we could do tranny cooler lines. I think these GMs are 3/8. I don't know. Trans coupler lines, these will do the quick connects. They only offer it in 3/8 and 1/2 inch. And I know it ain't 1/2 inch, so it must be 3/8. And we can also do push to connects for the fuel lines too. So we could take a chunk of this 5/16, do a push to connect, and then, you know, weld this into that tank. And then we just hook up to that too. So there's an option that we could do there. And we could just push this stuff right down there. This stuff's super easy to work with. It's pretty durable. It's the same stuff that the late model pickups have, cars, whatever. So it's good enough for something that's gonna get 250,000 miles. It's good enough for this thing that's gonna do a few dozen donuts. So let's get the fuel pump mounted and go from there. Because I'm sick of dealing with shifters and linkages and everything else. I'm just sick of this thing in general because I love projects and Broncos that break down all the time. Look at this. Look at, we found the short today in this thing. You know that little rotatey bracket tabaruski that was in here for the horn that I broke off? Well, it turns out if you take that off, it grounds out the horn to that, and next thing you know, you got a battery drain, and your Bronco has a dead battery because it doesn't charge. So we figured that out by using Mojo's micro-sensitive leak detector, the troubleshooter by Electro Products in New York City in New York, made in USA. This thing's pretty sweet. Just unhook the battery cable, hook this one end of the battery cable, one end of the battery. Tells you if you got a short, then we just unplug stuff until we found out where the short is, and we found out it was in the horn, because duh. Now we just got to figure out the charging. And I think that's because we don't have power going to the regulator from the key switch. So sweet. I'm this close to just putting a GM alternator on it, but we're trying to keep this Bronco all Bronco, keeping our Ford all Ford, so we haven't got the 1-wire GM alternator on it yet. We're gonna have to chase that wire up, find out where it doesn't get in power from the ignition switch. Go from there, I guess. Okay, what was I doing? Fuel lines. Squirrel! Squirrel! So our fuel line comes out right here, behind the driver's side rear tire. So I don't know if we want to put our fuel pump before this terrible kick or after. Either way, it's going to have to come apart or whatever when we fix that C-notch. So the thing with electric pumps is they are meant for pushing, not pulling. So you want to have them close to the tank, below or close to below tank level as you can get, so that it just gravity fills to the pump and then floods the pump, and then the pump pushes her up to your injection system. And then you want your filter after the pump. So you don't want it to have to pull through that filter. You want to push through the filter. Make sense? So really we could put that pump anywhere from here ahead, but I kind of want to stay away from this suspension stuff because it's already pretty busy. I kind of like going to the inside of the frame rail because that's where it's got to end up at some point anyway, because that's where our fuel lines are at on our engine. So maybe we'll just mount it right there for now. And even though we know that's going to all change later, it's easy to get at from the top and the bottom since we don't have a floor. And that's the beauty of this line, is we can just move it around or cut it off and put that end on it in a different spot. It's super easy to work with. It's like the Slinky of fuel lines.
Isn't this incredible? It's gonna be some kind of a record! Everyone loves a Slinky. You gotta get a Slinky.
Let's drain that gas for, well, we're not draining it, we're draining it. This is some stinky stuff. It's at least 3 years old. So she's running out a lot faster after I got this elbow off. Let's see how sludged up this thing is. There's definitely some, ew. Even Duff's making the ew noise. Sorry about that background noise if you gotta take a leak right now. Be a good time to go do that. She's a little chewy in there. I'm sure the inside of the tank is just fine. This is why fuel filters are important, kids. And not letting your vehicle sit. Oh man. Well, I'm gonna go hit this thing with some compressed air. Hopefully that cleans her up a bit. Also, yeah, since we got a new shop, go check it out on More Mortske Repair. That's our second channel. More Mortske Repair. No more man. Sorry. I mean, I guess we'll reach out to him and see if he wants to make a guest appearance, but that would probably be, you'd have to get a couple more trailers to get that much fuel to get here, so. R.I.P. More Man. So you can stop commenting, oh, I'm gonna miss More Man. No more More Man. Where's More Man? Check up on More Man. Will More Man make a guest appearance? More Man, More Man, More Man. All right, so here's our fuel lines. There's a 5/16 and there's a 3/8. Theory says that the large one is gonna be the return, so it's got less restriction. I don't really remember, I'm probably wrong, but anyway, we gotta make this 5/16 line. So we got our end right here. We got to figure out how to push that in there. They make a tool for it. Some guys will make a block that you clamp on it, push on it. And we're going to try the old heat gun method. See what happens. It's probably just going to deform and push out of the way, but we'll only screw up a couple inches of our hose. Story of my life. Crank this mother up to 11. Just like the old marshmallow, you want to just brown her up a little bit. You don't want to burn it. This is probably a really bad idea, isn't it? Or a really great idea. We may never know. Oh, yep, there you go. See, it just kind of pushes over and melts and game over. Okay, let's cut her off and try over again. Without heat. There's probably a tool for cutting this too. Oh yeah, we're gonna deform the crap out of it just cutting it. Really help if I didn't have the dullest blade in the shop. Oh, it's still melted there even. Oh yeah, way better. What if we just manhandle it right on there? Oh, it's just pushing that down. This is why they make tools for these things. What if we just brown her a little bit? Come on, be good to me. Oh, where to the second barb? It's working. Until I give it too much heat. And we screw ourselves over. There we go. A little bit more. Oh, look at that. That would probably even be enough. But you know, we're gonna push it too far. Story of my life. Know your limits. Somebody's gonna say, well, that expands it. No, it's no good. It's not gonna seal. Well, that's when I die in a fiery wreck, I guess. Oh! And then we kinked it. Son of a biscuit. It's gonna be fine. You're fine. It's gonna be fine. Let's go put it on there. Push to connect. Sweet. Just push it on there and it connects it. And then you squeeze this and it disconnects it via that little tanger fwanger. These things are great. I need to get me that tool that Wesley has. He's got all the cool stuff. And Max. He's almost as cool as Duff. I said almost. You're fine. You're not afraid of the wind like Maxie Boy is. Now we just got to feed this down through there. Hook her up. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Right? Right. I think we're going to go back here behind the engine, obviously. And then just go straight over to the frame rail. That way it's out of the way of our future shift linkage, the future exhaust, and our brake pedal also. Boop! Push to connect, installed. Never mind that kinkish thinger. Now we just gotta do the 3/8. What if you put this in boiling water, you know, hot water? That would maybe give it not too much heat, just the right amount of heat. I'm sure there's a million ways to do it, and you're all gonna comment on how to do it. So comment away. Oh, the perfect push. So great. I'm so happy about that. You ever have that? Like you lay the perfect bead or you hit the perfect hit in golf, whatever swing, I don't know. Make the perfect flare on a brake line. Yeah, love that feeling. Only had it twice in my life, but whatever. Definitely not at golf either. So obviously we're gonna run this one with the 5/16. Oh, it's coming up around the door. How's that ended up in the cab with the French? Boop. Oh, it's quick to Nix. So good. So good. So good. Almost makes me feel bad about the kink in that one. Almost. But look at the beauty of these things. Boop. You're on the road. Take her off. Oh, boom, back going again. Maybe, just like that. So good. Now we just gotta figure out where to fish these guys. Here, fishy, fishy. Oh, should we go on the top of the frame rail? Sure. We do that before we got this line down here. We had a big day, haven't we? We got our lines run. I'm not entirely sure how I want these. We'll have to go to the top of the pedal. Get below the shift linkage. Plenty of room from the exhaust. It's all pretty good through here. And we'll tie her to the frame back in here somewhere. I don't know about this. Should we run them through there? They can both fit through there? Oh yeah, this will be fun to try to put ends on when it's over here. We'll get her figured out. And then we just gotta wait for the tank to quit draining. We're gonna dispose of that properly. Don't you worry, Greta.
How dare you?
Don't you worry. We love the environment. And once we get that fitting back in there, we'll probably just run a chunk of rubber to here. And then we gotta put our filter in there. I don't know if we'll put the filter right back here or right down in here. I don't know. Kind of like having them close to the pump, because then you can check everything all in one shot instead of having to scoot back and forth. Because can you tell I've had a lot of issues on the side of the road? Okay, I think we're gonna check out for the evening. Duff is tuckered out. Been a long day of watching me work, hasn't it, pal? Okay, I guess that's gonna wrap it up for this week. We got a bunch of stuff done on this Ford F1 that's chopped with an LS swap and a Dodge Dakota front end and all that. We got more stuff to do. The brake parts showed up. We got shifter linkage cable thinger coming in the mail and some other stuff. Right now, the Mickelson is here. Go check him out at themickelsenracingchannel.com. And we're gonna do ball joints in the Super Duty. Yay. He's kicking me off my own hoist. You wanna get friends, get a tire machine. Also, he brought a trailer tire with that we gotta mount. Imagine that. Blew out in the yard, allegedly. You wanna get friends, get a tire machine, a trailer, a skid steer, and a hoist, and everybody will be your bestie. Oh, and just throw in some free beer in there too, and then you got it all. So, we're gonna put some wheels on this, roll it out of the way, and probably never ever work on it again. So, thanks for watching. Check out the other videos. Get yourself some Mortske Repair merch. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Remember, it doesn't matter how you get it on as long as you're having fun. Chopped F1s are maybe fun. I don't know. I'll let you know after another 14,000 man hours.